Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm off around the garden to cut all sorts of bits and pieces for a very special 30 stem challenge. It is King Charles III's coronation this very weekend. I should be wearing my pearls already. And I've been commissioned to do the flowers for Number One Bruton, very fashionable little town nearby. Very lovely little boutique hotel. If you're ever staying in the area, go and stay at Number One Bruton. So I thought I would turn it into a 30 stem challenge and hopefully inspire some of you to forage your gardens for something similar. I will end up doing quite a lot of them for this challenge because they want a window full of flowers. So I expect I'll post a picture on the community page later to show you what it looked like. But this little clip is all about inspiring you, I hope, to make some flowers for the coronation. Red, white and blue, here we come. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Press the bell icon and we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. And if any of the tips and tricks I give you along the way are useful, you can always buy me a coffee, or better still, join my club. And the link to coffee buying and club membership are in the blurb to all my clips. Right, off we go. Well, I'm definitely having some dead nettle. Look at the lovely white flowers. And there'll be nice greenery in my royal inspired patriotic red, white and blue posies. I love this sun spurge growing outside the back door. Do be careful if you're cutting a euphorbia. This is a kind of euphorbia. It's quite small, quite low, and I like the gold. So I feel as though this is the gold in my patriotic fervour. Be careful cutting euphorbia. It has a caustic sap, which some people find very, very sore on their skin. So maybe use gloves, and equally wash your hands once you've finished handling it. It's really worth paying attention. I got this in my eye once and ended up in the emergency room. Oh, look, lovely bright red wallflowers. Yes, please. Gorgeous tall blue camassia, can't resist. And then I think I will have some of this lovely silver brachioglottis, which is kind of formal. Yes, I'm going to have some blue forget-me-nots, but I could have white forget-me-nots as well. Excellent options. Now look at these gorgeous little silver scilla. They're called Star of Bethlehem and are perfect for my purpose. Wild bluebells, of course, especially as our dear King Charles is so fond of wild flowers. Be careful, unless you own the land on which the bluebells grow, you may not just pull them up. I planted these especially in the bed along with those silver scilla, and every year I harvest lots of them. Lovely silvery cineraria is going to go with my white theme. You can't be too matchy, and you know, lots of plain white, you won't see it, so you need different shades so that the different colours show up against each other. This is Tulip Happy Generation, and I think she's just right for a coronation. Definitely room for some of this lovely white honesty. Buttercups, excellent gold, inspired by the buttons and the gilt and the shine and the coach and all of that stuff. Let's have some gold. In a week or so, this meadow will be a mass of buttercups, but for now there are just a few. I don't mind cutting them because there really will be thousands of them. This Siberian crabapple, when the flowers come out, the flowers are pure white. So I'm going to cut some and they will explode into flower in the arrangements like a surprise to come. Not strictly scarlet, but black hero tulips, I think, are perfect. Now, I don't know about you, but I think a bit of pink softens the harshness of any red. So I will leave the Persicaria bistorta that the bee is working so assiduously, but take a little for my posy. Love it. Just completely uninterested in me, just doing his thing, or her, rather. The point of this flower farm is that if we look after the invertebrates, the rest of the food chain will look after itself. So to see the bees, the honeybees working like this is always a pleasure. And if you be in England, now that spring is here, don't forget the cow parsley. It's the first good umbellifer for cutting. A wildflower, so again, don't go foraging other people's hedgerows. But if you have a wild patch in your garden, you may have encouraged some to live there. One more tulip. This is Chinatown, and I think the stripy leaves are rather military. Plus a pale pink reminds me of the pale pink Turnbull and Asser shirts that all officer class gentlemen wear in England. Right, well, with a little foraging, I've actually got 12 varieties from the garden. I have cut them in fives so that they will look so abundant in the mix. And so 12 fives, this is actually 60 stems, but you can see that's a lot. I mean, look at my shoes. I've cut a lot. So you don't need to cut this much. This is a 30 stem challenge for you guys, or whatever you like for your coronation thrills. Right, I'm going to leave these flowers to have a little drink, and I've got some other work I've got to go and cut. So I'll let them have a nice drink for an hour or so before I arrange with them, because I have cut them in the middle of the day. Shock, horror. And while it's hardly hot, it's quite muggy. And so rather than arrange with them straight away, to put them in the cool, airy studio and let them have some fresh air, shade, and a nice drink, they will be thankful for it and behave better for it. Well, it's a couple of hours later, and the flowers have had a nice drink. And we're going to now dress a sweet little blue and white bucket. What have you got that would be handy and make something, you know, coronation-y? This just looks like rather a boring white bucket with a blue rim. I'm going to add some ribbon where I've taken the handles off. I do have maybe 15 of these, so I can use them. But you know, you might have something useful that you could alter a little bit to make more coronation-y. So I'm going to add ribbon. Right, sweet with ribbons. Right, I'm now going to put this to one side, and a bit like with the wedding flowers I did at the weekend, I'm going to make a really big hand tie. Now, if you're going to do a 30 stem challenge, a 60 stem challenge, a 90 stem challenge, doesn't really matter. A 30 stem challenge might be a little bit small for this bucket, but you could have a smaller arrangement, or you could make it bigger, taller to fit with 30 stems. I'm going to use these 60 stems because I'm going to be doing this 10 times for Number One Bruton. Right, so I'm going to put this to one side and I'm going to make hand ties. And here's the bucket of flowers. They've had a couple of hours just having a nice drink, and I'm going to use them all up. So it's going to be a 60 stem hand tie. My challenge to you is to do something similar, but only with 30. After all, 30 is plenty. I'm only doing 60 because it's my job. I'm a flower farmer and I'm working to a commission. You don't have to use so much. You don't have to cut the whole garden. Just have fun with a little bit. Right, I'm going to time lapse most of it because otherwise you'll die of boredom. But when I get to the end, I'm going to show you a couple of top tips. Now that's 30. So there's your 30 stem challenge. Now I'm going to double the size, but isn't that pretty? That's all. It's quite red, white and blue, but enough variety to make it not too hard, the colours. I think that's very pretty. Personally, I really like it. Anyway, let's carry on and we'll get to nearly the end and then I'll give you some tips. Right, so we're almost 60 stems there, though I say it myself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off very, very short so that it sits beautifully in the little bucket. I want it to balance so that it's perfectly upright and so that it can be looked down upon by people passing by, but it's sort of formal. I don't want it leaning. I don't want it, even though there are wildflowers in here, I don't want it to look too wild. And so what I'm going to do is use the brachioglottis, which you might remember me cutting right at the beginning. And the brachioglottis is going to frame it. So you know do you remember seeing pictures of the Queen on Maundy Thursday going to give money? And she was always given a posy which was framed with ivy or something. It's collared, I call it collaring. And if I collar these flowers, the silver brachioglottis holds everything up, stops it flopping, and we'll just collar it. It'll support everything so that it can sit in the middle. Oh, look, I've got another tulip. I'm not going to be too exact about it. I'm going to use up what I've got. I want to use every stem in the bucket. My hand is not quite big enough. But the framing works really nicely with this silvery brachioglottis. And I still have a little bit of, for example, this golden euphorbia. I'm going to tuck that in as well, as if it's growing from underneath the frame, because that's how gardens work, don't they? Things don't necessarily grow where you put them. There's always something growing out from the edge of a bed. And that's what I'm doing. I've collared with the brachioglottis, and these occasional stems are being tucked underneath. I realise this is holding out the light. So look, they're tucking the wallflower underneath. Nearly done. Still, I really almost can't hold this in my hands. So this is 5 stems of each variety that I cut, tucking in the last of the little silver scilla. And in a minute, I'm going to tie it up. I haven't, oh my goodness, I haven't used this cineraria, and actually I simply can't fit it in my hand, so I'm not going to use it, but I will have these last 2 dead nettles, because no garden is without weeds, and this year's Chelsea Flower Show is very pro-weed, I've always been very pro-weed myself. So I feel as though the Chelsea Flower Show is just catching up with me. Right, I'm going to tie it. It's a hand tie. I love using raffia because it's strong enough that I can let go. I don't have to lay the bouquet down. I hate laying a bouquet down because something's going to get bruised. And there it is. Snip off the spare raffia. I'm going to snip the stems very short. So here's my little bucket. Very tiny. I've made a terrible mess here, so I don't want to put the bucket on the terrible mess because I don't want the ribbons to get wet, but I'll show you in a sec. So cutting off very short because I want it to sit properly in the bucket, like a person on the edge of a swimming pool kicking their legs. This is where you have to really watch your fingers. You can very easily, I'll do it in front of you. You can very easily cut your fingers off at this stage. So I tuck my little finger out of the way because I have cut my fingers enough times. And there she goes. We'll pop her in. Do I say it myself? Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. And there is red, white and blue with silver and gold. Oh, yes. Very pleased with that. I'll do some close-up so you can see. So there it is. I have to say, I did not spend too much time worrying about which stem went where because the curating of this bouquet was done in the garden when I cut it. And I know that I've just put everything together roughly and they will all sort themselves out. If they look, if you sort of mean, they'll grow into each other like planting a border over the next few days. It will drink an enormous amount, so you do need to make sure you refill the water. But do you sort of mean about the ribbons? Yeah, very successful. I'm very happy with them. They really lighten it. There we are. Right, so I'm going to make lots of these for Number One Bruton for their Coronation weekend, and I'm going to make some more for our village coronation party because I'm royalist enough. I feel as though this king has got some proving of himself to do, but I believe fundamentally in community and an opportunity to make flowers for my community and for a community event is not one I'm going to pass up in a hurry. Anyway, have a lovely coronation weekend, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Maybe make yourself a 30 stem challenge in your country's colours, whatever your country's colours may be. I know there are lots of not just red, white and blue. Remember to include gold for the gilding and to look at the colours to see that they sing and not let them be too flat. I do think, you know, the Union Jack the colours are quite flat. But this is a red, white and blue bouquet. And I hope that you don't think that colours are flat. Anyway, have a lovely weekend, everybody. Show me your 30 stem challenges. Share them on your Instagram if you do Instagram and tag Common Farm Flowers, hashtag 30 stem challenge, and I will share some of the best ones on my stories. Have a good weekend, everybody.